Hey, Kevin here, and thought I'd do a little something different today. I want to show you how to frame a wall. There's a formula to this, and once you know this formula, you can go out and build whatever you want to build. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples here, and then we're going to show you how I laid this wall out that's laying on the deck here for this next section. Once you understand this process, you don't even need building plans. I mean, I just build these things out of my head because I know how to frame. Been doing it for a long time, but if I can show you how to do this real quick, then you can kind of formulate your own set of plans up here and put something together. Okay, so what we've done so far is, as you've seen, is we built the deck, which is the floor for this particular part of the building, and we got the first wall up over there, and now we're going to put the opposite wall up. And so the way we determine where we want to, how we want to frame things out is, you know, do we want a door, do we want a window, and decide what size doors and windows, because they come in different sizes. You can get 2-foot doors, 2.5-foot doors, 3-foot doors. I'm talking wide. And so you have to decide what you want. Now, most exterior doors, if you're coming into a building from outside, they're typically going to be a 3-foot door opening, because that's going to give you the room you need to walk furniture in or whatever you're trying to do. So you want to kind of think about that. Interior doors could be not as wide if you want to go with a 2.5-foot door, or even down to a 2-foot door, if that works for you. And then windows is really kind of, you know, subjective. If you want a big window or a couple of little windows, or, you know, where you want to place them, you think about the layout of the building on the inside for placement of windows. And so the way I like to do it is I typically will center a window in a room and center it in the wall so it looks nice, I think. Same thing with a door. I may, depending on, you know, the layout, I might, in this case, we're going to probably center the door on the wall over here as well. Or I might put it to one side. I'll have to think about it. So let me show you how we do this. So you can see right now what I'm building here is a 2x6 framed building. You can do 2x4. I decided to go 2x6 because we're in snow country, as you might have noticed. We're actually having a very beautiful February day. Is the third week of February. We had sunshine and 40-degree weather, which is not normal, but you can see we got a lot of snow that's accumulated up to this point. And so I got to worry about the weight of that snow on this building. It's going to have a slippery roof to it, which should shed the snow, but when it gets good and cold, it'll stay on there, and that's a lot of weight, and so we don't want to crush the building. I've had that happen. We built a 10x20 greenhouse a number of years ago, and we had a really odd year where we got about 8 foot of snow. It got really cold, and it wouldn't warm up enough to slough off buildings, and it was crushing them. So we gotta think about that when we're building. So this is going to be really sturdy. It's going to have trusses, which we'll get to in a later video. But when we're framing up, let's look at this. There's kind of a formula here. In this particular scenario, I'm framing on 2-foot centers, and so if you look at the end of that wall over there to the next stud in, is 2 feet centered in that 2-foot center. So, and the reason we think about this, you're either going to do that or you're going to do 16-inch centers. So the board would sit in the center of 16-inch mark, and that's because our sheet goods are going to measure out to those increments. And so when we're sheeting this wall later, we want to be able to screw into those studs and know right where they're at. So if we know that we're on 2-foot centers, we can measure and you know, nail or screw into that. If you look over here at this sheet on the wall, this sheet is 4 feet wide and 8 feet tall. And so we need to know that, so that when we go to frame, if we frame on 16 or 24-inch centers, either way, it's going to land on the 4-foot mark. 16, 32, 48, or 2, 4, so forth, 2, 4, 6, 8 on down the wall. And so they'll land on that center seam where the two sheets come together, and then we nail that halfway onto from each side. So that's what the reasoning behind that. So if you come around here, we've got the layout on what we call this is the bottom plate right here. And then the other end up there, you see that top board, that's the top plate. And that's, when we finish building this, we're going to tip it up this way and stand it up right on the edge of the floor here. And so we're laying out so that we can tip that up later. So what we did was we took our top plate and our bottom plate and laid them right next to each other and made sure they were even at the end, so they were just the same length. And then we started marking. We know we got to have a board right on the end. So we made it's 1.5 inches in, and we made an X, so we know that's where we're going to set this board. It's going to stand up right here. Like that. And then we come in, and this is a 2-foot center right here, so we're going to have another board going up and down right here, full length of the inside of the wall. Okay. Our total makeup wants to be about 8 feet. We're actually a little short of that because we're tucking this building's roof line in under the other, so we came down 1 inch to allow for that to happen. But typically, if you were you're framing for 8 foot. So then we decided we want a window, and we got a big window going in right here. It's 4 foot by 6 foot, and that's what that opening is right there. And so we need to, and we're centering it, so we need to know where the middle of this 12-foot plate is, and it's right here. We measured it, and we know that that's 6 feet. Well, that's also going to be a place where we want to put what's going to be a cripple under here, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And so from there, it's a 6-foot window. We measured over 3 feet and made a mark, which is that mark right there, and then 3 feet the other way, and we made a mark right there. So that's the inside measurement of our window. Now we need to frame our window so that we can carry the weight of the building around it. We don't want to crush it. So with the trusses and everything and the roofing and all that business up there, we want to transfer the load of the building around that window or door, whichever. And so if we go to the top here, I've doubled up the plate. Now this is not normal house building. This is outbuilding building. So we're not going to, normally you would have a really big header right here that would probably be about 5.5 inches or the thickness of a 2x6. But because we're just building a very lightweight building with a lighter roof, we just doubled up our 2x6s here. So we've got this. And what we're doing is we've got the weight of this building right here coming around, and it's transferring down onto this jack stud. So that sits underneath this plate, which is our header. Same thing on the other side. And that's going to transfer the weight of that framing off the wall here around this window, and it takes it down to the floor right here. Now we want to support this jack stud, so we got what we call a king stud, which is basically the same thing as our normal length stud framing that we're doing, but we're going to sandwich that right up against this thing so that it's sistered, it's doubled up, and so we got a lot more strength here, and we'll side nail these together when we come around to doing that. Then we got our top sill, or our header rather, and then we got our sill plate, which is the bottom, where the bottom of the window is going to be, and we know that's 4 feet, and so we marked ourselves at 4 feet, and we cut our sill, and that just sits right here, so 4 feet between them, and then we're gonna slide that one over here. So that's our bottom. That's the window's gonna kind of rest on that. Okay, and then we still have to carry some more and transfer some more load. So because we got this sill that we're carrying, where this big window is going to be sitting, 4 foot by 6 foot. That's a big window. So we need cripples, and cripples do two things. One, we always want to put one right underneath the ends of the sill plate. Get it in there. Okay, on either side. And then we're also going to be putting in some cripples that are going to be where our sheeting is going to attach. So we are staying on our 2 foot wide pattern, on the centers. So in here we've got, let's start at this end. So we got the end of the wall, 12 feet. We got 2 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet, that's the middle, 8 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet. So we need to put in 3 more cripples that land on these 2 foot centers so that we can carry our sheet goods when we go to attach them. So that's all we're going to do. These are all the same length, and so we just slide them in. We need to mark our sill plate up here so that they're in the same spot coming across, and you can kind of see where we're going here. Let's just look over here at this finished one now so we can see. Sill plate, kind of a little jack stud here on either end to carry that weight all the way to the floor. And then our 2-foot centers land right here as we go, so that we're carrying our sheet goods, okay? Now, you can hand nail this if you want to. Done it plenty of times. But a framing nailer sure is nice and makes it a lot quicker and easier to do. And so that's what I'm going to do. In a 2x6 wall, you want to put 3 nails into every location. So if you look over here again, 1, 2, 3, 3 nails, framing nails. If you were looking at the top of the walls, everywhere one of these comes into contact, 3 nails all the way around, and that'll keep it nice and sturdy and give it plenty of fastening strength. So that's kind of the formula. If you did this on 16-inch centers, you'd have a few more boards in the wall. 2-foot centers, I think, is plenty for this particular application, so that's what we're doing. Plus, we're at a 2x6 framing, which is a lot sturdier than 2x4. If I was doing 2x4, I'd definitely go 16 inches just to give myself a little bit more rigidity to carry everything down, okay? So hopefully that helps you. The formula here is basically like on a if you were buying a factory window, just a standard, you know, 2x2, 3x3, 4x4, 4x6, whatever. You frame the opening, the rough opening, which is what this is, to that exact measurement, because the windows will be a 1/2 inch under width-wise and height-wise of that framing, and that gives you a little bit of room to adjust them and level them out in the frame. And then when you trim it all out, you can't see it. There's a flange that we screw the window on with, and so it stays put. So that's, and doors are the same way. Doors, you need to know which door you're going to use. Not all door manufacturers measure their things the same, and so you need to know which door and you know which manufacturer you're using, and then they will tell you what the rough opening needs to be on, usually right on the door somewhere on some paperwork. Then you can frame your opening, because it's going to be a little bit bigger than the actual door and the framing, so that you can get it in there and adjust it and get it all level so it swings open nice and everything. So that's something to think about. Don't just assume that every 3-foot door is going to be the same rough opening, because I've made that mistake. Ask me how I know that. So that's that. We're going to get through the framing here, and then we'll stand the wall up and on to the next phase of the project. So I'll see you on the next video.